Welcome, everyone. And good morning to even the back row there. We got a lot of people in the back row. And anybody who's on I guess it's YouTube now, isn't it? Yeah. So anyway, good morning, and I'm Sharon Blackwell, and I am your platform person today. And would you please stand if you're able to and join us for our opening song.
Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Here we go now. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for and what this life is about. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. About lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. There's a voice that I've heard for years. I learned to keep it inside. Well, now it's coming in loud and clear. I want a deeper life. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. About lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. All right now, swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide
that song. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Unity of New Westminster on this beautiful, beautiful spring/summer day. It is wonderful to see you all. Thank you for spending the time here this morning when you could just as easily have been wandering around in a garden or on a beach or doing something else. We're so grateful that you are here today. And welcome to all of you who are watching us either live on YouTube at the moment or in the future on YouTube. We are so glad that you are joining us. And on behalf of all of us, we turn around and say, hi, everyone. So glad you are here. I am Reverend Rhona Segarra, and it is my privilege and my honor and my joy to be the minister at this amazing community of love and service and laughter and all of those beautiful adjectives that we just heard in that song by Daniel Nahmad. This is a place where we support each other, where we come to laugh, to sing, to grow, to have fun, and to make connections. The Unity movement, and here at Unity of New Westminster, we offer empowering ideas for full and abundant living. We draw on the teachings of Jesus, who we consider our primary way shower and example. And we honor that there is wisdom to be found in faith traditions all over the planet. There's wisdom to be found in our everyday experiences and in song and in movie and in story and in poetry. We find wisdom and inspiration everywhere we go. And we celebrate every person and their choice about how they move through life. All are welcome here. All are worthy here. All are celebrated here. Let us begin our service this morning in a time of quiet prayer. As we begin, we give thanks that we are able to be here on the traditional and ancestral territory of the Kakite First Nation. And we give thanks for First Nation peoples everywhere, for their custody of this beautiful land. As we come together today in gratitude, we reach out and connect emotionally and mentally, heart to heart, with people from all over the planet. We believe there is only one power, one intelligence, one creative energy. That energy we call God, others call Allah, Yahweh, Creator, Mother Earth, the universe, quantum. Thousands and thousands of names describe that one creative power. And whatever the God of our understanding, we embrace the idea that there is only one. And it is in that one power that we all live and breathe and have our being. There is no spot that God is not. And that includes us, each one of us. And each one of us is therefore connected to each other. And it is from this awareness of oneness that we extend and intend a blessing of love, of peace, of contentment, of healing, of allowing, a blessing of love to every being on this planet. We see beneath the labels that divide us, and remember that we are one. And in this idea, this intention, we uplift every person. And for the power to uplift, the power to pray, the power to intend, we are so grateful. And so it is. Amen.
I'm going to do the meditation now from the book. Hear these words as they are yours. Is that what part of it? You said it was open. Oh, sorry there. I had my own, but I forgot it. Okay. All right, everyone. Today the word is release. Regularly releasing keeps me in the flow of life. I have been changing as long as I've been alive and will continue to evolve as long as I live. I make room for the person I'm becoming through releasing, which is an important part of my spiritual practice. Just as I would not fill my closet with clothes that I no longer fit for me, I do not fill my life with beliefs and ideas that no longer reflect who I am and whom I'm becoming. Regular releasing creates space in my life for new things to come in. It is my way of remaining open to possibility, of welcoming new opportunities, of keeping myself in the flow of life. Releasing is also a powerful way to live my faith. I trust I am moving in the right direction and release items from my past easily and with gratitude for the role that they played in my life. Psalm 51:10, create in me a clean heart, O God, and put a new and right spirit within me. And we will have another song.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth, and who we are and all we do is a blessing to the world. We are the blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am, and all I do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am, and all I do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am, and all I do is a blessing to the world. I'm a blessing to the world. I'm a blessing to the world.
Close your eyes with me. Just 1, 2. It's on. Better? Ooh. That was funny. All right. Now I got to come back from that and invite you all to get into a nice quiet mood again. That's all right. Let's prepare ourselves a little bit by continuing in that joy-filled but relaxing place that we've created already this morning. So I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Otherwise, just let them rest gently and become aware of your breath. That life-giving energy that we have very little control over. We can take a breath. We can hold it. And we can release it. And life breathes us. At some point, we don't have control anymore. And so we surrender to the idea of harmony between our choice and life. And how beautifully we work together. So as we breathe, we are so grateful for the awareness of life that breathes us, that animates us, that enlivens us. And with every breath, Let us sink a little deeper into our seat. Let our bodies become a little heavier so that we do no work at all. We allow life to support us as we give ourselves this gift of a peaceful pause. And in this quiet space, hear these words as if they are yours. Heaven is a place that exists in my mind. It is a place of joy, a place where I am happy, where I am free to love, where I am free to be who I really am. I imagine the freedom I would feel today if I could know that I am perfect, that I am perfect just the way I am. I imagine the power I would feel if today I could know that I don't have to meet anyone's expectations. I imagine the joy I would feel if today I could know that everything that I have done before today is okay. I imagine the relief I would feel if I could know that mistakes that I've made in the past are not burdens that I need carry now. That those mistakes weren't mistakes at all. They were simply me living my life as wisely as I knew how to at the time. I am enough right now. I am a perfect expression of human living. I am evolving and changing and growing constantly, moving closer every day to reconnecting with the peace and joy and freedom, the love that I am at the core of my being. I am a beloved, precious, powerful child of the universe. I am willing to let go of fear. I am ready to return to my natural state, which is to love and to laugh to be happy, to embrace life. And as we move into a time of silence, I reflect on the idea that I claim and I create heaven on earth today. I create heaven on earth today.
I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. I'm a blessing to the world. I'm a blessing to the world.
I don't know how you are all feeling, but I am so laid back right now that I feel like, how am I going to get the energy up for myself, let alone for you who are going to hear the wisdom, question mark, of my thoughts today? Here's one way I'll do it. My mom is here. No, it's always so much fun when my mom comes and listens to her offspring. Very happy that you're here, Mom. Thank you. Thank you. So, welcome to week 3 of our 4-week series on the 4 agreements. This is a book that was written by Don Miguel Ruiz, who comes from the background of the Toltec tradition in Mexico. And the very brief summary of this book is the idea that we are all living in a domesticated dream, a fog, if you will, where we have all been taught about how we should behave, what we should think, and in many ways, as a result of this, we have forgotten our innate joy, our innate vibrancy, as we have learned what's okay to do, what's expected to do, what's not okay to do, and what will get us in trouble. And the whole idea of the book is that we have, as children, grown up and bought into agreements that we've been taught so that we can get along in society. And we've been taught this by our parents, and they were taught by their grandparents and by our society as a whole. And as time goes on, we have not only been taught these agreements, but we've bought into these agreements. And unconsciously, as well as consciously, we have now been, in his words, domesticated. We've been trained to do things a certain way and to think things a certain way, and sometimes what that's done is caused us to forget who we are, each one of us. And so part of this thinking is that in doing so, there's a part of each one of us that may be feeling like something's missing. That, is there more? Is this all that there is? I feel that there's this sense of dis-ease or disquiet. And what Miguel is suggesting in this book is that we break some of the agreements that we've made that have created this fog for us, that has landed us in what he considers hell on earth. This place of fear, of needing to do things the right way or we're going to get sent away, and moving into a place of heaven on earth where we can be free to express who we are, what we are, and therefore live a much more joy-filled life. And the idea is that we undo and break some of these unconscious agreements that we may have made and replace them with new ones. And it's really perfect that the daily word today was about release, because it's all about the idea of taking away what was and replacing it with something that's more energizing and more life-giving, letting go of what no longer serves us and replacing it with something that is more joyful. And so there are 4 agreements that make up the bulk of this book. And the idea here is that these 4 agreements, if we can break our old agreements and replace them with these, that we will completely transform our outlook on life and our experience of life. And so week 1, we looked at be impeccable with your word. And the idea of being impeccable with your word is not just about the words that you speak, but that you also don't do anything that goes against yourself. That the word is the ability that we each have to create with the power of our ideas and our thoughts and our beliefs, as well as with our written and spoken word. And we looked at that at some depth, the idea of being impeccable, not doing anything that goes against ourselves. Last week we looked at don't take anything personally, which was the second agreement. And that one, for many of us, is a real challenge, because when we have people saying things to us, it's sometimes hard not to internalize it. And when we're the ones saying something to someone else, sometimes we're straying into their lane. And so we spoke about 4 ideas there with don't take anything personally. And those were to allow other points of view, to be a funnel, not a sponge. That is, to observe things but not absorb them. And the third one was to control our own reactivity, and then to discern between whether or not we are engaging in dialogue or diatribe. That is, are we actually speaking and listening, or are we experiencing a one-sided conversation, also known as a rant. And so that's what we looked at last week. And in each of these cases, it's pretty easy to see how, if we could be impeccable with our word, what a difference that would make. And if we could learn not to take things personally, how that would kind of free us up to enjoy life more, if we only cared about what we think and be true to ourselves. The third agreement, which we are going to look at today, is don't make assumptions. And on the surface, when you first look at that, my first reaction is, why is this such a big deal? Why is this one such an important agreement, that out of all the thousands of agreements and belief systems that we have, the BS that we have, that we would have don't make assumptions as in the top 4? Well, let's see. According to Ruiz in the book, he says about assumptions, all the sadness and drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. I'll say that again. All the sadness and drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. That's from page 64 in the book. What happens with assumptions is that they cause us pain. The suffering begins when we make assumptions. The suffering for ourselves and then for others begins when we make assumptions. And the thing about assumptions is when you're in that place where you're either reluctant to ask someone a question or ask for clarity, and as a result you're making assumptions, you are living in a place which has a level of anxiety, also known as hell. You're putting yourself in hell. When we assume, we place ourselves in this state of low level, and sometimes not so low level, anxiety. And the thing about that is, it is a place of fear. And if you're living in a place of fear, you cannot enjoy life to its fullest at the same time. And so we want to find a way where we move from living in this self-imposed hell on earth into a place where we are more joyful, more free, more relaxed, more open. And one of the ways we can do this is by not making assumptions. So before we delve into some scenarios, I think it's worthwhile asking ourselves the question, why is it that we make assumptions? What is it that leads us into making assumptions? There's so many myriad choices that we could pick from here. So I'll just give you a handful and see if you can recognize yourself in some times where you've made an assumption because of any one of these reasons. 1, that you don't want to admit that you don't know the answer. 2, that you want your way to be the right way. And so even though someone else might have a different way of doing it, your way is the one that you assume to be the only right way. 3, because we are uncomfortable with differences. And so we don't want to find out that someone else has a different point of view than we do. So it's kind of nicer if we don't know. So we make assumptions. Another is because we think everyone should think the same way we do and should do things the same way we do, that we know best. 3, because we don't want to bother the other person. 3, 4, 5, whatever number I'm at now. I lost count. The thing about assumptions is that we see a situation, we don't know the situation in its entirety, but because we have this human need to know and understand, because that's what makes us feel safe, we kind of create a story. And then, because that story seems to make sense to us, we believe the story that we've just made up, and then we treat the situation based on the story that we've just made up, and we jump to conclusions that may or may not be the truth, may not be accurate. And sometimes, haven't you found that you've made an assumption, that you've believed the story, that you've treated the person or the situation based on that story you've made up, and it's actually led to some harm? Maybe you've had a relationship that ended because you assumed something that wasn't true, you made an accusation about something based on something false, and the person's like, I'm out of here. This is what assumptions can do. And this is why they are so dangerous. So what's the solution? What are some things that we can do that will help us to move out of making assumptions? The first is to pay attention and notice when you are reluctant to ask for clarification. And notice when your reluctance is leading to your own feeling of disquiet. Because what happens is fear is at the root of assumptions. So notice first. Don't want to go there, don't want to ask that question. Then second is find the courage. Be willing to be vulnerable enough to ask the question. Winston Churchill said, "Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen." And so we want to courageously ask for clarity and be willing to listen to the answer. In essence, what I'm asking you to do, if you want to break this agreement where we make assumptions, is to find the courage to ask, what's the story I'm telling myself? What's the truth about this situation? And am I prepared to accept the consequence of the answer? And that one's a big one. So let's look at the idea of noticing our reluctance when we don't understand something. So imagine that we're in a scenario where we don't understand something and we notice that we're reluctant to ask for clarity. Again, think of these. Courage to ask, what's the story I'm telling myself? And what's the truth? So, what's the story? And remember, it's based on fear. I don't want to appear stupid. I don't want to admit I don't know something. I don't want to admit that I actually wasn't listening because I was busy playing on my phone. Or I wasn't paying attention in some way. Or I simply didn't understand. It looks like everybody else is understanding. I must be the only one who's not understanding. Assumption. What's the truth? What is likely to be the truth rather than that story that we're telling ourselves? The truth is, I don't understand. The truth is, someone else is also unlikely to understand, because if I don't understand, chances are someone else is in the same boat. Truth is, I don't know it. And what's the solution? To remember that I'm going to be impeccable with myself. I'm not going to do anything that goes against myself. And so me saying these things about I should know it, everybody else knows it, these are all stories that we're making up that are harming us. And so have the courage to ask. Be willing to be vulnerable. Hell is being too scared to ask and living in anxiety. Hell, I should know this already, I'm stupid, I'm not paying attention, everybody else is getting it, oh no, what are they going to think of me? Hell, hell, hell. Heaven, help me to understand. Tell me more. Can you explain this a different way? I care about this. I want to understand it better. I care about you. I want to understand you better. Tell me more. And to all of those fear thoughts that say, what are they going to think of me? We go back to the second agreement. We don't take things personally. We remember that those that mind won't matter. That those that mind won't matter. And those that matter won't mind. They'll be grateful that you asked for clarity. There's another assumption that we all do at times. So that one was asking for clarity. If you don't understand something, scenario one. Here's another scenario where we make assumptions. And that is when we think that we know exactly what the other person should do, and so we're going to jump in and do it, or encouraging them to do it. Basically, that we know something that we think another person should do. And we make the assumption that because we think this way, they think that way too. Again, courage to ask. What's the story I'm telling myself? I know that if they did this, they would be better off. What's the truth? They are their own person. They get to choose. And because I don't take anything personally, I am prepared to accept the consequences. One of the best examples of this is the story of Jesus at the pool of Bethesda. And what happens is he comes to these pools, and they're pools that are designed, or everyone believed that they were pools for healing. If you could get into the water, you would be healed when the waters stirred. And he comes across this guy who's been sitting at the pool but not been able to get into the water for 38 years. And what would you do if you saw a dude who's clearly looking like that's where he wants to go, but he's been lying there for 38 years? Wouldn't your first instinct be to assume that you should pick him up and help him to the water? What does Jesus do? He asks him, do you want to be made whole? And if he had said no, I think Jesus would have just left him there. But of course the man said yes, and Jesus' response was, take up your mat and walk. To me, that's part of that last bit is not actually the main message of this story. The main message is, ask the question. Don't assume that somebody who appears to be in trouble is waiting for you to be the one to be their savior. Ask. The story might be, well, this is for their own good, or we will save them. It may be that I believe my way is the right way. It may be I need to show them how off course they are. When did that ever work? The truth is, we all have equal rights about how we live. Each of us, if we believe that each of us are a unique expression of divinity, of God in expression, then each one of us has a point of view that is equal to any other point of view. And that means asking before we jump in to help, where sometimes help isn't needed, or the help that we assume is the right help is misdirected entirely. They are entitled to their preference as much as we are to ours. And it is not up to us to change or manage or insist on anyone else's behavior except our own. This creates hell. Hell to force other people to do things the way we want them to do it. Heaven to realize that you wish the best for another person and you ask. And if they say no, we are prepared for the answer. And nowhere is this more noticeable than in our personal relationships. And I'm talking marriage and intimate partner, but also mother, brother, sister, nieces, children, in relationships. This is a place where sometimes we're so scared of the answer that we don't want to ask the question. There was a time a few years ago now that I chatted with a man who had just ended an 18-year marriage to his high school sweetheart. Because even though they loved each other, there was a time where he realized that he was afraid to ask her if she would have children. They had never had the conversation. And he longed for children. And when he finally gathered the courage to ask, she had the integrity to say, no, I'm not interested in having children. Then he had the integrity, impeccability, if you will, to say, you know, I really want the chance to have children. And they ended the marriage. And he wished, in retrospect, that he had done that sooner, but he was too scared of the answer. There's some other things about relationships that we do. One is, if I ask the question and they say no, what am I going to do? The answer is accept their answer and then look inside. And what are you willing to live with? What are you willing to do with that information that is true to you? It may be still staying in that relationship, or it may be choosing not to. Another story that we tell ourselves in relationships is, well, if you loved me, you would know. I think I use that one way too much. If you loved me, you would know that this upsets me. If you loved me, you would know that I like flowers. If you loved me, you would know ... Insert nonsense here. How is this kind to the person who you're in relationship with? Obviously, they have a different point of view. So honesty is, I know you love me, and here's one way that I really feel loved. Would you be willing to do that? And they can say yes or no. And now you have power to make a decision about what to do with that knowledge, but at least you won't be in this place of false expectation, making assumptions. Another one that we make the assumption of is that we're going to change someone because of how much we love them. I think I've mentioned to you before, I'm a wedding officiant, so I do weddings all the time, and often I think of the joke that I heard, which I never say at weddings, which is this bride is getting nervous at the rehearsal, and the minister is standing at the front, and the bride is saying, I don't know, I'm so scared about what's going to happen tomorrow, I'm going to trip over my feet. And the minister says, okay, so I want you to remember 3 things. When you get to the back of the church, you'll notice that there's an aisle. Keep your eye on the aisle. And then if that feels like you're just doing it too much, then raise your eyes and you'll see me at the altar. And then when that feels like you're just looking too much this way and you want to go and look somewhere else, well then look at the hymn board, which has the numbers of the songs that we sing on Sunday. Hymn. And so all you need to remember on your wedding day is, I'll alter him. I'll alter him. Don't do that. So, when it comes to making assumptions, snap yourself out of the hell that you're putting yourself in by being too afraid to ask, by being too reluctant to pick up the phone and say, hey, I need some clarity on what you said. Have the courage to say, this is what I want. Are you willing to give that to me? Recognize that sometimes the answer will be no. And be grateful for that, because it's an honest answer. And that's still better than living in that low-level anxiety of not knowing. It's a more powerful position. Have the courage to ask. Is this a fear-based story, or even just a story? Can I find out the truth? And I am willing to hear the answer. In this way, we don't make assumptions. We break ourselves from that fear-based hell that we put ourselves in, and we free ourselves to be in this place of power, of empowerment, of clarity, of peace. Doesn't that sound like heaven? Don't make assumptions. I bless you. Shall we stand and sing? Stand and sing.
In the morning of my life, I shall look to the sunrise. At a moment in my life when the world is new, and the blessing I shall ask is that God will grant me to be brave and strong and true, and to fill the world with love my whole life through, and to fill the world with love, and to fill the world with love, and to fill the world with love my whole life through. In the noontime of my life, I shall look to the sunshine. At a moment in my life when the sky is blue, and the blessing I shall ask will remain unchanging, to be brave and strong and true, and to fill the world with love the whole life through, and to fill the world with love, and to fill the world with love, and to fill the world with love my whole life through. In the evening of my life, I shall look to the sunset. At a moment in my life when the night is June, and the question I shall ask only God can answer: was I brave and strong and true? Did I fill the world with love my whole life through? Did I fill the world with love? Did I fill the world with love? Did I fill the world with love my whole life through? Did I fill the world with love? Did I fill the world with love? Did I fill the world with love my whole life through?
Wow. It's quite a song, and quite a message too. Something I got to remember. That's one of my things. Just assuming that someone, if they care for me, they should be able to read my mind. A good thing they can't sometimes. So I'm going to read some announcements instead. How's that sound? So every Monday, please join us for our weekly prayer and meeting. We check in with each other, rest and renew ourselves and with a guided meditation, and we read the names of the people on the prayer list. If you'd like your name added to the prayer list, or you want someone else's name to the list, fill in the prayer slip and put it in an offering basket. Send us an email, submit a prayer, and we actually have a prayer box over there right by the door. I'm sure someone checks into it every week. And on the last Monday, Alexandra will be in charge of the prayer Monday, and she's planning to make it into a hybrid, so it'll be both in here and on Zoom. So if you have somebody in mind that can't attend, there's a chance that they can be part of that. And if you've been inspired, and I think we all have, with the messages here, I actually went through it with Reverend Charlene when I first came to, and it's a very excellent book. So please join us on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. on Wisdom Wednesdays. And every Wednesday, Reverend Rhona will discuss the last Sunday's message. It'll be a time for us to explore and share ideas. If you want to hear the talk again, of course, a video replay of this service is available on our YouTube channel. You can search Unity of New Westminster of YouTube, and you can click on our website and you just go scrolling down the various ones. Actually, I found it by accident. It just kind of came up and it said, you need to see this. So the Wednesday, we'll discuss the message we heard today. Don't make assumptions. Sounds like a good one. And please join us on Zoom. The Zoom link will be on the website and also in our weekly email newsletter as we connect with each other and share ideas about the previous week's talk. And everyone is welcome. I'm trying to figure out which direction I'm going. Seems like I put this backwards here. Okay. And we have something exciting to share. We've signed up for a program called Spiritual Playmate. Does that make you want to go play with us? It is an interfaith program which shares ideas for life skills for children and their grown-ups. We are launching this program here in the sanctuary on Father's Day. 2 weeks from today, and that will be the first Sunday we're all going to participate in that program. So we're all children of God, aren't we? On Father's Day, Reverend Rhona will lead the service with Lindsay Munson, and will be assisted by a team of adults who have volunteered to help lead the children's program, and we've just been waiting for something like that. After Father's Day, Spiritual Playmate will be a regular Sunday program for children. If you have children, grandchildren, nephews, nieces, bring them. And if you were a child once, yes, you can attend too. So please come and prepare to have some fun. And to see what the program will look like for your favorite children, please spread the news. And it's very exciting. We're grateful for your gifts which support our ministry. Many in our community contribute pre-authorized trade payments. So if you're not adding anything to the basket, please bless it silently as it passes you. As we sing our blessing song, please keep in mind something you are grateful for. Don't we have some more messages here? Maybe I'll do that after our thing. I guess that's it. Wow. Well, it was good enough, actually. Thank you.
I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Blessed, blessed, blessed. Imagine being grateful for all that you are. That's being impeccable with your word. That's not taking anything personally, and that's certainly not making assumptions. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you for joining us online. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can share this message with more people across the planet. That's my goal, is to take little white church on the corner here in Unity of New Westminster and share this news to every person that we meet. So please subscribe to make that happen. Thank you to Cliff and Lyle, who are our audiovisual team today. Thank you to Gisela, who is here as our greeter today. And thank you, Sharon, for your beautiful platform presence and your words and your engagement. And thank you all, each one of you, for being here today. Thanks, Mumsy. Happy that you are here. When my mom told me last night that she wanted to come to church today, I didn't want to let her know that our family song, which is Fill the World with Love, was what we were going to play. So that was just what they might call serendipity. Or maybe it's just the universe at work, yeah? Yeah. And it is my pleasure. My talk was my pleasure. Thank you. Part of the reason I do talks is so that I learn. And when I learn the stuff that I feel I need to try and put into my world, that's what I want to share. So anything I ever say is ideas that I'm exploring for your buffet enjoyment. Take what you choose, take what appeals to you, and let the rest be. Who knows, maybe another day you'll like those vegetables, you know? Shall we join hands and sing our prayer for protection and our peace song, and then please join us for coffee after the service. I wish you all a beautiful, beautiful week. We're so glad, so blessed.
Let this be my joy.
God. I am the love of God. I am the power of God. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is. I am the light